Who will forge the future of Africa? Our continent needs policymakers who will lead us through uncertain times to abundance. Entrepreneurs who will harness the power of exponential technologies to change 1 billion lives. Executives who will help us tackle the grand challenges facing our continent. Africa's Top Tech and Innovation Summit is back for its 6th year. 2 days. World-class speakers. Physical and digital expos. Metaverse experiences. Facilitated deal-making. Unlimited networking. Get the mindset, skill set, and network you need to create wealth and uplift the continent. Join us at the Singularity U South Africa Summit 2024. Together, we forge the future of Africa.
Welcome to the SUSA Summit 2024, hosted by Singularity U South Africa in collaboration with Old Mutual and Metaverse partner Africa Rare. My name is Nastasia Arinsa, and I have the privilege of being your host today. And welcome to anyone watching online in the Africa Rare Metaverse, as we are live streaming today in Ubuntu Land and on YouTube. I'm just a bunch of algorithms and data, but thanks for asking. I guess you could say I'm operating at full capacity. How about you? Keeping up with me yet?
Just about. So it's not every day that I get to meet the digital version of myself. So what's it like living in the cloud?
Oh, it's fantastic. Always sunny, and I can travel around the world in milliseconds. But I have to admit, I do miss out on coffee breaks.
Well, I will have a coffee on both of us. So, you know what they say, right? 2 heads are better than one. So what do you say that we team up and we give these folks a summit to remember?
Absolutely. With my processing power and your human touch, we're practically unstoppable. Let's show them how human ingenuity and AI can collaborate to change the world.
Couldn't agree with you more. So let's get the show on the road. After you, Nas.
Oh, after you. I insist. I can't really move anyway.
Well, as you can see, NASA has been trained on all things exponential technologies as well as organizations. So if you have any questions for her, she's going to be our exponential coach. So we're going to have a Q&A session a little bit later on. So all you need to do is take your phones out. I do see some phones are already out. So you can scan the Menti code, and we will be facilitating that Q&A session a little bit later on. And then we'll get to see if my AI partner will be able to answer some of those burning questions that you may have. Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to announce the SUSA Summit to South Africa that is happening on October 20th to the 22nd at the Sandton Convention Center. So we're also going to be hosting it digitally on Ubuntu Land. And having first witnessed the impact of the summit, many of you have seen me at other summits. I've gotten first-hand experience in terms of the impact that this summit has in being able to help us leapfrog certain aspects when it comes to the African continent. We also get to hear from different experts, and we basically get to share ideas on some of the challenges and opportunities. So throughout the day, you're going to be hearing from many of the SUSA experts that we have lined up for you today. We'll also be including insights from SUSA, as I mentioned, Old Mutual, as well as distinguished Singularity experts. So together, all of these experts are going to be sharing ideas on how do we deal with some of those challenges, but also what are the opportunities that lie ahead for the continent. In terms of some basic housekeeping, in case you need to know where certain things are, we do have restrooms which are located outside, and you'll find them on my left, but that is just behind you. We do have Wi-Fi available, and for those of you who've trickled in, if you didn't get an opportunity to have your picture taken, we will allow for that a little bit later on at the end of the formalities. So without further ado, please, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage Mick Mann, who is the co-CEO of Singularity Youth South Africa. Please give him a big round of applause.
Thanks so much, Nastasia. And welcome to the Singularity Youth South Africa Media Launch 2024. A warm welcome to Old Mutual, the media, our guests, and the Singularity global community. Today marks a pivotal moment for us as we unveil our plans for this year's summit, our 6th in South Africa. And we aim to leverage exponential technologies like AR, robotics, 3D printing, biotech, and many others to tackle global grand challenges and build sustainability and envision a future enriched by these advancements. And over the last 9 years, our mission has always been to educate, empower, and inspire leaders and future leaders to apply these exponential technologies and how you can use these technologies to make the world more abundant and democratized for all, so that we can hashtag future-proof Africa. It's amazing to think that when we first brought Singularity to South Africa, the idea of exponential technology or even this amazing potential of AR was a very novel concept here. Flash forward 9 years later, and we've managed to host over 60 international change makers and thought leaders, and over 250 online and virtually. And we've seen some incredible developments over this time. From the likes of a solar energy company, Yellow Africa Solar, now a multi-million-dollar organization who based their entire philosophy and business on exponential thinking and exponential organizations. From robotics to 3D printing, schools that have been started, to many AR companies, we've seen this, and even Web3 and the metaverse companies like Africa Rare and virtual nation builders. Maurice is here somewhere, saying that, these companies were formed and crediting Singularity as a vehicle for the inspiration and action. Now South Africa and the world are at this crucial moment, because as we are seeing new tech emerge, we see new challenges surface. And we have to work harder than ever to create this abundant future that we all want to live in. Ray Kurzweil actually predicted a lot of these surprise and delights that we're experiencing. And I recently saw him in an interview at Abundance 360 about a month ago, where he said, even though he predicted a lot of this, he still gets amazed when he sees the technology come out and when he gets to use the technology. And he said we can expect more of these surprise and delights more frequently as this technology accelerates and as they converge with each other. So the necessity for an exponential mindset in today's ever-evolving world cannot be overstated. Embracing such a mindset means recognizing that the possibilities for what can be achieved grow not incrementally, but at this accelerating exponential pace. And this concept is not about just keeping up with technological advancements. It's about staying ahead of them so that we can make impactful, future-orientated decisions. In a world marked by rapid technological changes and global interconnectedness, the exponential mindset pushes individuals and organizations to think big, really go beyond traditional boundaries. It drives the pursuit of transformative ideas that leverage these exponential technologies, aiming to solve challenges from climate change to healthcare. And this mindset is so important because the future is inherently unpredictable, yet rich with lessons and consistently lessons and opportunities. And it consistently teaches us that what was impossible yesterday might not only be possible tomorrow, but might become the new standard. So, adopting an exponential mindset involves this idea of continuous learning, adaptation, and being ready to pivot your strategy swiftly in response to new information. And we've all heard this, and we all are living in this world where we need to adapt. We saw what happened in COVID and how we had to adapt, and now who knows what's coming at us next. And the beautiful thing about the future and why we need to keep learning is because the future keeps teaching. And we need to have this mindset of constantly wanting to learn new things to stay relevant. At a very high level, we're going to focus on three main themes this year: exponential technologies, global grand challenges, and leadership and investment. And Shane will be on in a moment just to take you through some of the incredible lineup of speakers that we have planned for this initial announcement. And over the next coming months, we will be sharing more thought leaders and change makers that will be attending the summit. You see, the future is exhilarating. Imagine a world where we achieve longevity, escape velocity. And what that is that within a few years, each year lived equates to an extra year added to our lifespan. So each year lived, we add an extra year to our lifespan, and we're slowing down the aging process. This will happen by 2029, predicts Ray Kurzweil. It's not far away. This remarkable slowing of the aging process, combined with AI's ability to enhance our intellect, promises a future where personalized AI not only helps us, but also evolves alongside our families. I'm really looking forward to this surprise and delight, to get younger and younger, and be able to party with my daughter when she's old enough. Moreover, the advent of Web3 and the spatial web or metaverse will revolutionize the way we connect online, and we'll have these more immersive experiences than ever before. And I'm thrilled to announce that in partnership with Africa Rare, we are launching a new metaverse experience. This AI-powered mixed reality platform will broaden our horizons, deepening our engagement with exponential technologies. So please enjoy this video, enjoy the rest of the event, and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Mick. So I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like the idea of reverse aging, or perhaps even slowing down the aging process. Or perhaps you've thought about replacing old parts of you with new parts. I don't know, that sounds exciting. But nonetheless, we're going to keep the show on the road. And right now, we're going to be welcoming our Singularity U South Africa partner from Old Mutual. Please welcome and give a big round of applause to Celiwe Ross. She is the Director of Group Strategy, Sustainability, People and Public Affairs. So just a little bit about her. She has over 18 years experience in financial services. She is an engineer turned investment banker turned insurance professional. She is fascinated by the convergence of technology and people. And she's also an Afro-optimist, a foodie, wine lover. But here's a fun fact that you may not know. She's an identical twin sister. So she's also a proud mom. But before we welcome her onto stage, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's have a look at this video.
Have you ever thought about the word mutual? Mutual respect, mutual admiration, mutual interests, mutual benefits. It's a little word with big meaning because it describes a state of commonality, of shared experiences or beliefs, and of close relationships. For us at Old Mutual, the word mutual is much more than just a part of our name. It's a promise we make to those we serve. Through our core business activities of gathering capital, investing it on behalf of our customers, and transferring risk, we are working to create a more socially inclusive, resource-efficient, and low-carbon future for all our stakeholders. And it's this that makes us the first choice financial partner for millions of Africans. We understand what is important to people and businesses on the continent and what challenges they face. And they trust us to help them overcome those challenges, protect what is important, and transform their dreams into reality, while constantly evolving how we deliver on our purpose and keep our promises. The reason why we do it is the same today as it was almost 2 centuries ago: to become our customers' first choice to sustain, grow, and protect their prosperity by offering a range of integrated financial services that truly meet the needs of our customers throughout their lifetime, enabling entrepreneurship, embracing diversity and inclusion, supporting financial well-being, and delivering quality education and skills development, so that together we can do great things every day.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm super excited to be here on behalf of Old Mutual. I've got a number of my colleagues here with me in case I mess this up. I'm joking, I won't. I was reflecting over the last few days about this partnership with Singularity U and why it's important to a company like Old Mutual, because I find more often than not, people anchor on the old rather than the mutual, which was the purpose of that video. Because let's face it, many people just see us as a traditional insurer. In fact, about 8 years ago when I joined Old Mutual, my mother was convinced I was going to be selling funeral policies out of a suitcase. That hasn't happened, thankfully. We, next year, will turn 180 years old. And if anything that Mick and Nastasia have said, 180 is no longer that old, really. But we are going through our own digital transformation. You will have seen on the slides a number of references to our IT estate that's in the cloud, as well as the number of digital customers which continue to grow and an important measure of success for us. I like to talk about it as our journey in reawakening a giant, because Old Mutual has been a giant of financial services in Africa, anchored largely in South Africa and begun here, but our story cuts across 14 countries in this great continent, and we believe very much in the future of this continent. And as we see 180 years of history as history and starting to think about what the next 180 years could bring. And so digital transformation is a big part of that. And we're also conscious of the fact that insurance largely lags many of its peers, even in financial services, in terms of digital penetration and digital engagement. 30% of insurance clients today talk to their insurer in digital means. And if you compare that to banking, for example, 70% of their clients engage them through digital means. So we're conscious that we need to get more frequent and closer in terms of interactions, and conscious that many of you and myself don't wake up every morning trying to check our pension fund balance. And so our investment in digital technologies is critical. It's about creating intimacy with our existing customers and growing our relationships with new ones as well. You heard the video mention integrated financial services, which is the name that we use for our strategy and our strategic direction. Integrated financial services is anchored in advice, good quality advice, but also in financial well-being for all of our customers. As many of you have potentially or hopefully heard, later this year we'll be launching a bank, which will be a fully digital bank. Again, talking to our need to gain closer proximity to our existing customers and grow exposure to new ones who don't yet bank with us. And so that transactional banking capability will give us that intimacy that we seek, but also the frequency of interactions. And that's probably all I can say about the bank before my investor relations colleagues wrap me over the knuckles by sharing material non-public information. We will come to the market more definitively later this year as we talk about OM Bank and its offering. So much of our history, though, before the bank and before digitalization is in our face-to-face advisor force. We have the largest face-to-face advisor force in South Africa, and they anchor the quality of financial advice that we give to customers and the trusted conversations that are so anchored in our integrated financial services strategy. But we're also digitalizing the experience for them in the tools and the services that they provide so that they're able to give real-time insights and advice and processing when they're sitting in front of their customers. So we're putting a lot of investment in that face-to-face force. So given the journey that I've just shared with you and the trajectory that we're on as Old Mutual, I hope it's clear that the partnership with Singularity U was obvious. It's a natural partnership. I was saying to Mick and Shane earlier that it's probably about 7 years ago when we visited Singularity University in San Francisco, and this idea was birthed. We didn't even know what this would be back then. We were thinking of sending a few of our executives to the university and talking about 10x and growth. And it has become something so much more meaningful, I believe. And so we're looking forward to partnering both with Singularity U and the Summit, and of course yourselves as media partners for the journey ahead as we hashtag future-proof Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Celiwe and to our media guest. She is going to be available to answer questions at the end of the formality. She won't be touching on anything that has to do with the bank, so you're going to have to wait for a SENS announcement to get any kind of insight for that. And as Celiwe mentioned, and I think both Mick and Shane can attest to this, what we've seen in the summit over the years is see it grow in leaps and bounds, but also in the quality of speakers who come on to share their knowledge and give us a new way of thinking. And with that theme, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome the next speaker, who is the co-CEO of Singularity U South Africa and Man-Made, and that is Shane Mann. So Shane is going to give us a little bit more insight in terms of the themes that we can expect for this year, the lineup of speakers, and also anything else that he thinks will be quite interesting, and I'm sure he's got a lot to share. So without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Shane.
Good afternoon, partners, media, and special guests. I must say, what an honor it is to be standing up here again, talking about Singularity U South Africa 2024. It is just incredible. I want to start off by thanking our collaboration partner, Old Mutual. The leadership at Old Mutual understand that in order to be relevant in the future, they need to put innovation at the core of everything that they do. And in order to embed this behavior into an organization, you need an incredible organizational mindset shift. And that's not an easy thing to do. Let me explain. Our journey with Singularity University started 9 years ago. And we heard all these incredible ideas, but we didn't know where to begin or what to do or what to start with. But in my opinion, looking back, at the last 9 years, one of the most important things that you need to try and embrace is this idea of mindset. You heard Mick talk earlier about exponential mindset. Peter talks about exponential mindset, an abundance mindset, a longevity mindset. I'm very pleased to say we've got Miss Monica Singer over here, right? And she's fighting cancer. And I saw her maybe 4 months ago or 6 months ago, and I see her today, and I said, "What's changed?" And she said, it's my mindset. I'm not going to swear, but, you know, and it's incredible. It's reflecting in her outer being, this mindset change. So well done, eh? So let me give you an example of Peter's longevity mindset. This picture over here was taken in Los Angeles last year at his A360 conference. And Peter's been on stage for 3 days. He's the main keynote guy, and he's delivered 12 hours of presentations for 3 days. And we've known him for 10 years. And he's looking better now in his 60s than he did in his 50s. And what you don't see in the picture is that he's got a drip plugged into his arm. He's saying goodbye to people at a summit like this, you know? And I don't know what's in that drip, but it's working, you know? But the point I want to try to impress upon you is that he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's got the longevity mindset. He knows if he does these behaviors, he's going to recover faster, and that's his mission. He doesn't care if people call him crazy. And I must say, after 9 years, people are starting to call me crazy. You know? I don't drink. I ice bath. I use infrared saunas. I do breath work. I go outside. I meet the sunlight. I walk on the grass. You know? Even my family thinks I'm crazy. But you know, there's the saying, don't knock until you tried it. They're actually coming across. Although my daughter did report me to Instagram for this post. My 17-year-old. Unashamedly. So our mission from the beginning has always been to future-proof Africa by connecting people and ideas. And we believe that the Singularity Use South Africa Summit is a key aspect to ignite the people of South Africa through leapfrogging old technology and placing South Africa in the global playing field by connecting with the bleeding edge of what's next. But most importantly, to believe that I can go out and I can do it. We can do it. That is absolutely critical. So let me take a moment to talk you through what we have planned for the upcoming summit. We will cover as many of the exponential technologies as we can, but we're really going to dive in to what technologies are impacting the way we work and the way we live. As Mick mentioned, in 2024, we'll explore multiple topics in 3 themes: exponential technology, leadership and investment, and global grand challenges. And let me just give you a few big stats on some of these technologies. AR. Whoa. Hey? AR is everywhere. There's an incredible battle that's going on in the AR landscape, and it's going to change our lives in the most profound way. I mean, Maurice has just started the AR legal firm Schindler's, and he tells us there's a meteorite heading towards us, and we're not even aware of it. McKinsey report suggests that AR could potentially deliver an additional global economic activity of around 13 trillion by 2030. Biotech. I think you skipped one ahead there, Mr. Gouldy. Biotech. According to Research and Markets, the global biotechnology market is projected to reach $727 billion by 2025. Investment in Africa. The African Development Bank estimates that Africa's infrastructure needs amount to 130 to 170 billion annually, presenting significant investment opportunities. And of course, the future of banking. According to McKinsey, the adoption of digital banking in Africa is accelerating, with digital payments expected to reach 3.6 trillion by 2025. And on ESG, According to Bloomberg Intelligence, the global ESG assets are expected to hit 40 trillion by 2030, with the market projected exceeded 25% of the total global assets under management. And finally, on food security, the population is expected to grow to 9.7 billion, increasing the demand for food by 70%. Okay, now, let's take a look at the speakers featured at the 2024 summit. Take a look at this.
Meet Imad Mustak, revolutionizing AI with Stability AI, dedicated to ethical AI solutions.
Open allows for innovation to happen. So we've had now 330 million downloads of our models on Hugging Face.
Kathy Hackle is shaping our virtual futures, a leading force in AI and the spatial web.
What happens in Web 3.0, Web 3, is that you connect people, places, and things, or people, spaces, or assets, right? And when you do that, it changes the way you engage with these people.
Explore the future of food with Arturo Elizondo, CEO of the Every Company, crafting animal-free proteins.
I realized that we needed to completely reimagine the way that we produce protein.
Mark Nasilla, a data wizard, harnesses analytics to enhance banking security and customer insights.
Is your banking taking and meeting the AI challenge? Because if you don't take this seriously, the future might not turn out as you expect.
Alex Rubsam delves into the societal impacts of technology, bridging human and digital realms.
What we do as humans, our likes, our dislikes, our shopping habits, our medicine, all of these very human things are becoming represented digitally in ways that artificially intelligent systems can engage with.
Dive into the future with Benjamin Rosman, an acclaimed professor in AI and robotics, pioneering algorithms that are reshaping how machines learn and interact.
So in the world of machine learning and the world of artificial intelligence, we call this field reinforcement learning. Now, because this is machine learning and not human learning, the whole trick of this is for the robot to figure out what to do by itself.
Jaya Balu, global cybersecurity thought leader and practitioner, safeguards digital landscapes at Rapid7 Software.
We should make the security problems we have with our new technologies obsolete by building it in instead of bolting it on.
Serial innovator Adam Pantanovitz explores the magic of AI and biotech to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Biomedical engineering for me is a way to use engineering principles to solve both medical and health-related problems. So we effectively apply engineering principles into the medical domain.
Gear up with Carlo Fundavaya, a smart mobility and AI visionary from Eindhoven University of Technology, steering the future of transport with innovative mobility solutions.
Dear Africa, you can leapfrog so much in any industry that's being disrupted, and mobility is especially one of them. And I can't wait to see you succeed in that, because that's surely going to happen.
Karine Arama ignites conversations on the convergence of AI and blockchain and the future of VC investing.
You know, as a VC, obviously, what you want is to fill a gap or solve a problem, and it has to be scalable.
Oh my God, just looking at that, I get this like warm, fuzzy feeling, you know. It's just like the old gang is back. We're very thrilled. We've got Adam over there. Beautiful. Stand up, Adam. We've got Mark over there. We've got Volta over there. Ashley's over there. There we go. And it feels like the old gang is coming back together. I mean, it's been our life's work doing this. We've been doing this for almost a decade, and we got the opportunity to do it again. And we are so grateful and so thankful. I just want to dial in on three speakers there, right? Imad Mustak, let's start with him. We met him last year at A360. Imad is the ex-CEO of Stability AI, and his large language model has been downloaded 330 million times on Hugging Face. And he's a huge proponent for the open source AI movement. I don't know if you're all familiar with what's going on at the moment. You've got open source and closed source. Actually, open AI is closed, with Facebook now just giving AI to everyone is open, right? So I cannot wait to hear his point of view. And by that stage, what is going on? It's just going to be incredible. Then we've got Arturo Elizondo. Arturo is a good friend. I remember we met him 10 years ago in San Francisco. We took a delegate of 2 boards from 2 companies to meet this guy. And he was telling these people he's going to take on the $340 billion chicken industry. And he was like, he was 23 years old. And they thought, this guy is crazy. He is crazy. Like, really. And he's coming. And his business now is valued at $900 million. He is doing it. He is taking on the $340 billion chicken industry. And we're so excited to have him back. And then finally, Kathy Hackle. This is Mick's favorite. Forbes 100 top women. She was just here, actually. Mick had the pleasure of having dinner with her in Cape Town. And they refer to her as the godmother of spatial web and AR. And in the coming months, we're going to be releasing speakers as we confirm them, and we're very excited to do that. So please look out for those announcements. Thank you.
I don't know if you've picked up Shane's excitement. I bet if he could get to October tomorrow, he would be ready to get the summit up and running. But I just want to say thank you, not just to Mick and yourself, but also to the team at Man-Made and Be Exponential. You guys have been working super hard to put this program together, and I can only imagine. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. The next couple of months are going to be intense as we get closer and closer to October and we deliver that summit that is going to blow you away. I just want to do something a little bit different here just before I welcome the next speaker. So you saw a picture of Shane in the ice bath, right? So just from a show of hands, how many of you have tried an ice bath? If you can just... Okay, interesting. And because he was talking about a mindset shift, how many of you are willing to try an ice bath? Not really? Oh, okay. Okay. Let's see, maybe by October we would have convinced a few people to try one. So next up, we're going to be hearing from 2 of the keynote speakers. Oh, I see... Are you willing to try? Who's willing to try it? Did I miss something? You're going to try it? Oh. I should have said we've got something set up on the other side if you want to join. So we're going to be hearing from 2 of the keynote speakers. And first up is Jaya Balu. She is the Chief Information Security Officer at Rapid7. And then we're going to welcome Mick back on stage to have a conversation with Jaya. Mick?
Awesome. So we bring Jaya's joining in. I think she's connected. I actually met Jaya at Singularity University in 2015. She was in the CISO of Avast Software, where she was, guarding the digital frontier there. And then, after they got sold to Norton for about $7 billion, she's now joined Rapid7. She's also on a number of boards, and she is an expert in quantum computing. Have we got her connected? Can we jump over to Jaya? She looks a bit frozen. She's meditating. Oh. There's a famous joke in Singularity. It's AI is easy, AV is hard. There we go. Here's Jaya. So it's really great to have you here today, Jaya. We can't wait to see you at the summit. Do you want to just share some ideas about, how do we...
Hey, so good to be here. I'm really excited to speak at the summit later. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk to you about cybersecurity.
Go for it.
So maybe what we should start thinking about is how we can actually strengthen our future. We have a wonderful set of innovation promises. When you think about the future of aging, the future of medicine, when you think about all of the wonderful digital things that are happening, there's so much cool stuff. But I would like to start with a premise that if we really want to guarantee a safe and happy future, we should kind of learn that innovation should happen when we can guarantee cybersecurity protection on all the things that we build. So it's basically considering the ethical normative use of cybersecurity. So innovation if and only if we build in cybersecurity from the get-go. And you know why? It's because it's getting so ridiculously complex out there. I keep seeing new technologies with old vulnerabilities in them. And that means that subsequently, when we're actually adopting these technologies and using them at scale, we see all of these old challenges that we thought we already had tackled emerge once again. And I think that we need to get a much better grip on how this works in order to defeat the hackers that are making use of this in order to take advantage of victims. A really good area where this is happening, where we can actually figure out how to get control of it, is in the space of identity. We are still seeing people's identities being stolen, even despite us having mechanisms to stop that. With multi-factor authentication, with all of the ability to understand our users and where they're at scale, it still seems that we don't really have control around the identity space. A really common thing as well is we see like stolen API credentials, stolen service account information, which is not using MFA. So there's so much we can do here because we do have the solutions, but I see us not embracing the challenges that identity is bringing us. The same thing with cloud. When you take a look at last year's 2023 data breaches, 45% of them were because of compromised cloud instances. That's why we had that data breach. And because companies keep sensitive data on their cloud. So as cloud adoption increases, because of misconfigurations and vulnerabilities in the cloud, we see the attack surface also increase. The other area is open source. If you guys are using Linux anywhere, you'll remember that even only a few weeks ago, we saw the emergence of yet another vulnerability on something called XEutils, which is there in pretty much every single Linux distribution. And, we saw this massive hunt again for companies to try to figure out, where am I vulnerable when this is vulnerable? Because not only is it in the standard Linux distro, it's being used by other vendors in their products, in their tools. So it's not that you can say, oh, I'm not running any Linux, I'm safe. It's not the case, because if you're using products from vendors who do use it, you are still at risk. And then finally, I know we're all super excited about AI and the use of LLM, but we keep seeing challenges that are brought about for cybersecurity with the use of AI. Not only better crafted attacks, but also the increasing complexity and the larger scale of attacks means that AI isn't just something that we can embrace without making sure that we have our defenses well in shape. And also the algorithms that underline a lot of the technologies that are AI or ML enabled, we need to actually understand that in order to make sure that we're getting the protection that we think we're provided. So when understanding that landscape, I'd like to now make a transition to think like, how do we get it better? What if we actually kind of could accelerate innovation, make things go faster, but thinking about how we get to this secure by design principle. It's kind of like, if we wear a seatbelt, we can actually drive faster. That's why seatbelts were pretty much invented. So you can go faster, not just to protect the passenger, but that you can actually increase in speed. So we should think about secure by design principles as those seatbelts. They allow us to innovate faster when we enable secure by design. And what if, like, we also, had this basis for everyone to participate in understanding their security and privacy. So rather than forcing people to give away their security and privacy, that we actually had this common understanding of what that meant, and that we had enabling technologies so they're not giving away all of our data, that we're not actually opening ourselves to new vulnerabilities. And then finally, what if with real innovation, that we understood that real innovation only happens when more people have access to technology and the availability of education to understand what that means for their security and privacy. If we do all these three things, we will have a very secure, fortified future and a strong and stable innovation economy. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Jaya. So much to think about there. So great aspirations and, a lot of things, smishing, vishing, phishing. But tell us, what are you seeing in terms of AR, and what cyber attacks are you seeing in AR currently? What types of attacks?
Yeah. So, the one you'll hear about the most is before we saw LLM use, the only real AI attacks we saw were something called domain generating algorithms. So malware basically can create a domain, like a www domain or with a long appended address, and it can create domains so quickly that a regular human who's trying to stop or understand that malware can't as quickly understand which domains have been created and subsequently stop them. So you almost need an AI technique in order to combat this AI attack method. And that was the only thing we were seeing. And now we're seeing different types of attack that are accelerated and enabled because of AI, and better phishing attacks. We also see smishing as well as vishing with video enabled better through AI. So a large amount of improved personalization messaging because of AI. And I think that's something that we do have to kind of trust but verify in order to combat. But I think that even underneath that, there's an entire prevalence of the faith that we've assigned in AI algorithms that is really largely untested. Because we're not vetting these algorithms enough, we are assuming a degree of security that is afforded by them, which I think is a misplaced trust. And I think that we need to get much better in a sort of red teaming these algorithms in order to truly understand what they're doing, in order to actually, trust but verify. We're not capable of doing that yet. So I see the next generation of attacks actually coming from the same places where we currently place our trust.
Super interesting. Wow. So this vicious cycle just keeps continuing. I mean, I actually recently had a friend that had a vishing attack. They faked, and we heard about that on the news lately. What can we do in South Africa? What can you leave us with? What can we think about in South Africa and how to have better cyber controls or seatbelts, as you said? What do you think?
I think the biggest thing, first and foremost, is to, again, know yourself. So understand the places where you're weak. This does not require an enormous amount of investment to have this foundational understanding. So my big thing for Africa is make sure that you are not at risk, especially your critical infrastructure. So water, energy, the telecommunications sector, to really know where those vulnerabilities and misconfigurations lie. I think that's front and center. That's where we have to start. And then subsequently, new technology adoption means equal access and equal opportunity. If we really want that to be achieved at scale, I would hate to see the digital divide only increase with respect to Africa. So that means really embracing the ability to educate everybody on what does it mean to use an LLM. And that's one of the reasons that, OpenAI has done such a great job, is because everybody had access. And that initial open sourcing of this technology, the democratization of tech, I think that's the single most important driver to not only ensure adoption, but to make sure that we can actually provide those seatbelts.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause for Jaya Balu. We'll can't wait to see you in October. I know we've run out of time, so we are going to move swiftly along. Next up, we've got Alex Roopsam joining us, also from the Netherlands. I remember meeting Alex at Singularity in 2017, just joining as a researcher then. She's got her PhD in research, in design and technology, and cultural analysis. She's also currently the Vice President of Research, Expertise and Knowledge at Singularity University, and her research oversees vast amounts of different technologies, including artificial intelligence. Alex, great. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining. So can you tell us a little bit about responsible AI and some of an overview of what you're going to be discussing at the summit in October?
Yes, I wanted to start with also a little shout out to our long-standing collaboration. What you're looking at here, which won't make sense because it's just data, is we started to. So I've been in this field of responsible AI for a long time, but we have a between Singularity headquarters and Singularity South Africa, a long-standing collaboration. So we started doing some research into how can we surface, the way that we approach AI is always that we think of it as this objectivity machine. We think of it as this technology that grants us all these decisions and insights that are removed from human insights. And so what we've done is this piece of research. I'm going to turn you down a little bit just because I'm getting a lot of feedback. So just wave
Sure.
if you want to talk to me again. So in any case, we started doing this research, like how can we get people to better understand the role of human decision making in AI, which is actually quite large. And back in 2009, I think it was with you guys in South Africa, we did the first version of that research. And what you're looking at here, just to clarify what this is over 2,000 different algorithms built by different people that we've collaborated with at Singularity programs. And what you're seeing here is the pure absence of a pattern. Now, the thing to know here is that these are algorithms that work in the exact same way, that are built the same way, that are optimizing towards the same problem, and that are using the same data. The only difference is that they were built by different people. And so this has really spurred our research, and I think is one of the most important things that we're seeing in responsible AI. So I thought I'd bring back this little shout out. So among those 2,000 algorithms are, I think, 12 built by the audience of the South Africa Summit back in 2009. And this, I think, lies at the sort of like underlies everything that we need to really become better at when it comes to responsible AI. And one of the things I focus on is really sort of like, what is the collaboration? What's the role for computers? There is a lot that computers will do for us, and what's the role that we want to maintain with a human in the loop. So there's 4 things really that we'll discuss in a session in October, and I've listed them here. And so you'll see that there's really different reasons why people come to the topic of responsible AI. And so I've unpacked them here. We can go to the next slide if you don't mind. Oh, thank you. And one of them is that, there's a social strain, right? We see that certain people rather than others are excluded from selection by AI, and that usually lies with it's sometimes a data issue, sometimes it's a human bias issue, sometimes it's a representation issue. So we'll cover that. I think the other thing that we're seeing and why people are starting to come to this topic as something that's actually important is that you're obviously building these blind spots into your model. And I'll say right now, there simply is no AI without bias, right? If you think back to the very first machine learning algorithm, it was a detection algorithm to detect circles from squares and triangles. And so it had a bias for circles over squares and triangles, right? You have to have some form of bias. But you have to have some awareness about what those blind spots specifically are and if they fit with the problem that you're trying to solve. In the case of the example up here on the top right, it was found that facial recognition software that was used in, among other things, self-driving vehicles to detect pedestrians wasn't as accurate for darker skinned faces as it was for lighter skinned faces, which of course is a huge problem, right? And wasn't the intended bias. The intended bias was to recognize faces from maybe things that look like faces but aren't faces. The other thing, the reason why I think we discuss this as a topic more and more recently is because there's a cultural awareness around what the biases and sort of irresponsibilities of certain AIs can cause, right? If they're not done well, if they're not sort of regulated, if they're not managed well. And we see that some companies are assessing responsible AI as a risk, not because of the exclusion or because of the blind spots, but really because they know that they'll be publicly held accountable for the quality of their algorithms. And the final reason, and it's the timing, Mick, is terrible because between now and October, there is so much that's going to happen in terms of regulation that I can tell you there's a lot that we'll discuss then. It's just that right now, I don't know yet. There's a big EU regulation, step-in regulation happening likely in June. So that will certainly influence how we discuss this in October. I will say that on this topic, we know regulation is coming. My personal reason for caring about, so let me put it this way. In a couple of years, every company, just like we've had to do with data privacy laws, will have to take regulation into consideration in how they deploy AIs. And of course, there's really no company anymore that won't deploy AI, as we've seen. And that's true even if you're using someone else's model but using it for your purposes. From the way regulation is looking right now, you will still need to be aware of sort of like the regulation and how you're using it. Now, that can also breed a sort of indifference where it's like, well, we'll just put this to a compliance office and we don't have to think about it. My personal motivation for this topic is to always set an audience up to, you know, be able to discern these important things themselves. And so there's three big areas that I like to empower people to be able to think about: where could I do this right and where might things go wrong? And this is really why I care so much about this topic and why I'm excited to come speak, is because so much of the discourse around responsible AI focuses very much on where things go wrong. And I believe that there is immense opportunity for things to go right and for people that choose to lead in this space, that do things the right way, right? To be industry leaders in anyway, right? Globally, in showing how we can do responsible AI right is going to be one of the most leading and discerning qualities that any company or any entrepreneur or any investor can sort of differentiate themselves with over the next couple of years. We use this model, and I'll dive more into this obviously when we get to October. We use these three areas of where we see these opportunities for things to go poorly and for things to go well. One of them, of course, on the what we call the personal and cultural side, is that we have massive data gaps. Just to highlight the example you see here, because I think it's especially relevant for an African audience, is what you're seeing there is not to get too technical, but it's a visual representation of where benchmarking data sets have come from. Yeah, this was from 2023. And so benchmarking data sets are used to test the accuracy of any AI, right? And so what you see there is that there are certain areas that are vastly underrepresented. And so if you have benchmarking data sets that aren't representative of the whole world, then the accuracy of AIs tested against those will decrease. So I see an opportunity there for benchmarking data sets that are more inclusive or represent the parts of the world that are there. Benchmarking data sets are also an industry that, you know, one might want to get into. But I also see, you know, when those benchmarking data sets do exist, an opportunity for leaders to leverage them in a way that makes their AI more specific and more representative of the thing they're trying to solve, which is kind of going into the second part, where we use how we approximate a specific problem in AI. You know, everything at the core of AI, oh, sorry, you can go back, my bad. Everything this is on the top right, so the proxies part is how we approximate a problem. AI at its core is just mathematics, right? So any problem that we want to solve with AI, we have to approximate towards like a mathematical representation of that problem. But most of the things that we're trying to do with AI aren't purely mathematical. They're, again, deeply human, which is why I brought those results. And so thinking about how we approximate that, I have a number of good examples. I wanted to highlight Simply News here. They do a really good job of showing they've built a news platform on top of a foundation model, so they didn't have to train the whole basis, but what they have made are the agents that sit on top of them, and they've done an excellent job of showing how they approximate the specific problems that they're trying to solve. So that's sort of in that area I see massive opportunities for people to do that well. And then finally, when we scale, right, is how we keep people in the loop. here too, I think the industry is demanding good examples. If I have my self-driving vehicle, right, and I train it in one environment, I know, because I'm a human that has context that an AI doesn't have, that if I then deploy it into different environments, it needs additional training. And so I think there's another opportunity there for people to lead how to show to do this well. So this is what we'll talk about. The questions I have sort of like related to this are sort of like the weapons that I really like to empower, sort of embolden our audience with. So that's what you see if you sort of see all of those questions related to these areas on the next slide, is that that's really what we'll work towards, so that at the end, when we're done, I hope the audience will walk away with a sense of agency and empowerment relative to these issues. I have a sort of overview of, on the next slide, of everything that we'll go through during the session that we'll have together, so that people can really work on sort of understanding, you know, I know this is a lot to take in, but I'm sure that Mick will be able to share this ahead of time, of really understanding sort of like what are the key things to take away, but what might shift in how we approach these opportunities. So I'm thrilled to be coming back and sharing some of the insights that we started building. I think the South Africa Summit was the second place where we started this research. So it feels very full circle for me to get to share the results with you. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Alex. We're excited, and we can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of months. I think, you know, we may all be, you know, disrupted by AI. Who knows? But we do have, I know you're also short on time, so we've got, if there's any questions from the audience, we can take any questions for Alex while we still got her. Or is she gone? Does anyone have a question for Alex? Yeah, we got one over here.
Hi, Alex. Thank you. That was really interesting. So I want to ask, how do we as journalists, C-suite executives, policymakers, everyday individuals, how do we try dilute that bias from an African perspective? Because we know that the data models, the references are very far and few between. So what can we already start doing to dilute those biases when we use AI?
Yep.
Or even when we're using ChatGPT or Google Gemini and all of that? Thank you.
It's a great question. I love that you're asking this. And it's... So the slide I showed with the benchmarking data sets, right? To be clear, there are plenty benchmarking data sets that come from underrepresented places in those from that you saw in that slide that weren't represented there. They exist, right? And so one of the things you can do is to, when you build an AI, seek out a benchmarking data set that's more closely representative of the thing you're actually trying to test against. One of the things that I think we and I'll get to more specifically your question in a second. One of the biggest frustrations I have is that I think right now many people are trying to build these universally applicable algorithms, right? Where one algorithm or one AI is supposed to always be the right sort of like tool for a specific task. To give you an example, if I'm making a hiring algorithm or even a performance algorithm that I want to deploy on a workforce that I have, I don't need to represent kindergartners in that data set, right? I don't need to have an AI that also works for kindergartners if what I'm trying to measure is professional performance for people aged 35 and up. So I think one of the most empowering things we can do is to ask the questions, what are the limitations of the AI systems that we use? Not because it's necessarily a problem that they have limitations, but because we want to increase what those limitations are. This, I think, is what journalists, especially right now, are doing very well in how they're reporting on you know, what they find in the limitations of the specific AIs that they're doing. The Gemini was interesting in that respect. People still stress testing. ChatGPT is interesting in that respect. And then thinking about, okay, if you're building something on top of a foundation model, of course you don't control the foundation model, but you can prompt against, you know, and you can prompt into whatever agent you're building on top of it, specific guardrails. So I'm most excited for people using this technology, even if you're just using ChatGPT, to make more specific limitations so that you can be much more efficient towards a specific goal, rather than say we're going to build this AI or we're going to use this AI and it works the same everywhere all the time, because our world doesn't work the same all the time everywhere. So whatever we build and whatever we use, if we use it in a more specific way, and this goes especially if you're using it, I see a lot of good work being done in education, for example, where building specific agents on top of a large language model or building custom AIs, I think both are still very interesting in this respect. To be mindful and aware and forward with the constraints that we build in is where I think we can apply this technology best, rather than trying to fix everything with a single model.
Brilliant, thanks. I don't know if we've got time for one more question, Alex, have you got to go? Has anyone else got a question? We got time for one more question.
I've got one.
Nastasia's got one. The real Nastasia.
Alex,
nice to see you, Nastasia.
Nice to see you again. My question, it's a quick one. I mean, as we talk about AI and it's increasing in terms of topics around the boardroom, how should boardrooms be thinking about AI? How should executives be thinking about it from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm of two minds on this one. Obviously, at Singularity, we talk a lot about this democratization, right? This the way in which many of these technologies develop along the exponential curves, meaning that they therefore become cheaper and more ubiquitously available. In AI, that's happening in two ways. Well, sorry, it's happening in many ways, but I think in two ways that are significant here is like there's almost this choice, right? Of do you build your own data lake? Do you train your own models on that? That's a lot more costly still, right? It's a lot cheaper than it used to be, but it's a lot more costly currently still than it is to build on top of a foundation model or to build on top of a large language model. And so there's two routes to take. I don't think that there's any less responsibility with either of those, right? So a boardroom can decide we're going to build on top of a foundation model, we're going to build on top of a large language model, and then with prompting, building some agents, thinking about what we want that to do. That's fine. I think there's a lot to be done there. There's still a lot of responsibility to take, and there's still a lot of questions to answer that are important to take into consideration. What I think over the next couple of years we'll see is really that, and we've known this really, is data is the way that you discern yourself, right? Data is the way that you distinguish yourself from others. And this is the other way in which democratization has happened, is like data storage continues to be ever cheaper. And so I also think there's an invitation for boardrooms and for executives to think about what are the data that we have that others don't, and how can we leverage that to create insights or value that are unique to us. I imagine in most cases, businesses will be doing both. And so thinking critically about what models exist out there currently, you know, with large language models as well as others, what models currently exist that we could leverage ourselves in a way that's in a manner that's unique to us, and what data do we have that's unique to us that we could leverage ourselves in a way that keeps that more sort of like indoors. So those are the two things that I think will be significant over the next couple of years.
Thank you. So we're going to wrap this session up.
Yeah, thanks so much, Alex. We'll see you soon in October. We can't wait to see you. And just one thing on that data thing, what you mentioned, I don't know if anyone saw Microsoft launched their new laptop last night, and it's got this thing called AI Recall. So it records your entire history of what you do online. Every single frame, wherever you go on any page, all the time. It takes snapshots in real time. So it's pretty interesting what's coming. Did you see that?
I heard someone in the audience says that's very scary. So I don't know, maybe incredible and interesting, but a little bit scary, right? Okay, cool. So thank you so much to Mick and Jaya, as well as for Alex fielding some of our questions. So the one person I'm curious about, because when we started the program, she was going to be my co-host. I'm just wondering where my AI co-host has gone to, or whether she's still fielding through some of the questions that I've seen pop in. So we're going to welcome back our exponential coach, or as I call her, my summit co-host. Let's bring back exponential Nas. And that's because earlier on we asked you to scan the QR code and ask questions, and let's see if she can answer them. So I want to mention this, that even though we're at the cutting edge of technology, this is still a live demo. It's pretty much a prototype. So it's going to go live. We're going to launch it very soon. But let's see how are we doing? Let's check in on her. Hello, Nas. There she is. Okay, cool. So some of the questions that have come in, let's read the first one. It says, how can exponential organizations help Africa leapfrog into the future? Okay, how can exponential organizations help Africa leapfrog into the future? Let's hear the answer, Nas.
Exponential organizations can help Africa leapfrog into the future by leveraging technology and innovative business models. By embracing digital transformation, AI, and data analytics, African organizations can overcome traditional infrastructure limitations and rapidly scale their impact. They can provide access to essential services like healthcare, education, and finance. Even in remote areas, Exos can foster entrepreneurship, create job opportunities, and drive economic growth. By adopting agile and scalable structures, African organizations can leapfrog outdated systems and leap into a future of innovation and prosperity.
Okay, so let's see if we can type out one more question. Okay. What emerging technologies should entrepreneurs take advantage of? Question mark. Let's hear the answer.
Entrepreneurs should take advantage of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, robotics, digital biology, 3D printing, and networks. These technologies are advancing rapidly and offer unprecedented opportunities for innovation and problem solving. AI and machine learning can automate tasks and provide deep insights from data. Robotics and digital biology are revolutionizing manufacturing and healthcare. 3D printing democratizes production and enables rapid prototyping. Networks facilitate communication and collaboration. Leveraging these exponential technologies can lead to significant business opportunities and tackling grand challenges.
All right, I think she did pretty well there, so let's give that a round of applause. So, as I mentioned, we're really excited to see you at the Singularity U South Africa Summit. Again, it's from October 20th to the 22nd. And of course, we have spaces for you to network with some of the speakers. There'll be elements for you to be able to connect to and connect with each other. So what you can do in the meantime is go to the website, and that is susasummit.org. And that is to book your tickets now before the price increase kicks in. We've already sold out on super early bird, and we're currently in the early adopter category of tickets. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've got about 200 tickets that are available in that particular category. And over the next few weeks and coming months, we are going to be releasing the next lineup of speakers. So you can check that out on the website. You can follow the social media pages and just keep abreast in terms of some of the latest updates that we are going to be announcing. And the hashtag, as you heard today, and you've been hearing for the past 9 years that you've been following this journey, is hashtag Future-Proof Africa. So thank you all for attending, and not forgetting you guys who are watching us online. An important announcement, because we want to keep this theme of networking, please stick around for drinks and a little bit of a light lunch and meet each other, some of the great speakers that you can look look forward to for October are in the room with us, so please feel free to approach them. And if you didn't get an opportunity to get your superhero AI picture taken, we do have an opportunity for you to do that. The guys at the back will be able to help you out. And on your way out, please don't forget to pick up that AI picture. I'm really keen to see how it turned out, and I'm hoping that you're excited for October. So I'll see you then. Bye.
Who will forge the future of Africa? Our continent needs policymakers who will lead us through uncertain times to abundance. Entrepreneurs who will harness the power of exponential technologies to change 1 billion lives. Executives who will help us tackle the grand challenges facing our continent. Africa's Top Tech and Innovation Summit is back for its 6th year. 2 days. World-class speakers. Physical and digital expos, metaverse experiences, facilitated deal-making, unlimited networking. Get the mindset, skill set, and network you need to create wealth and uplift the continent. Join us at the Singularity U South Africa Summit 2024. Together, we forge the future of Africa.